being the #4 team in the country, sometimes you kind of have to sacrifice and figure out ways where, all right, maybe we're going to lose 2. Let's focus on the Saturday game, knowing that they're going to throw their #2 pitcher. A lot of strategy comes into it, especially with the kind of season the Gopher softball team's having this year.
Well, we are underway with ball 1 as Kai Luchar steps up to the plate. The Oregon Ducks in black on black. For a team that's 36-4, these uniforms are 2-2. So if you're looking for a silver lining of hope for the Gophers, maybe look to that. Gophers in their white uniforms. Another thought of laying down a bunt, and that'll be called for strike 1 of the game. Again, Gophers got off to a pretty good start last game, scoreless through 2 innings. Then that solo shot just opened the door for Oregon.
Kai Luchar, one of the most electric players in the NCAA, a straight 2.7 home to first, which is very unheard of. One of the fastest players in the country leading off for the Oregon Ducks.
She'll ground one over to second. Easy play over to first. And 1 up, 1 down. No, that cut off the edge of my screen, so
it looks like they're reviewing. Yeah. They're going to review it. So the call is out. It is absolutely insane that she was potentially safe on this play. This is a routine semi-weak ground ball to second base, and Kai Luchar made that play that close where they're going to go back to review now and see if she's safe on that.
Well, we'll see certainly taking a look at it. It seemed like she was going to be out from the hit, and you saw just the insane speed down the base path. And it looks like, no, not even...
Yeah, she's going to be safe.
Not even as close as it looked off the bat. So incredible down the line. And, you know, we even saw yesterday, she came into pinch run at some point last night. And I just couldn't follow her all the way from the dugout to first with how fast she was. It
is truly, I mean, you can't teach speed. It is something that she has that makes so much pressure on the infield. It's incredibly tough to defend. I mean, a mishit is going to be a safe single.
Paige Sinicki comes up to the plate. And something that we saw a lot of yesterday was the Gopher defense very ready for the steal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the scout on Oregon is they're going to run, and they're going to run wild. So you see a square over here for a sacrifice bunt. Runner's taken off.
Well, you do not see that very often. What an outstanding throw from Kraft, and this is not a player that gets thrown out on a routine basis.
That was the perfect pitch, the perfect throw, and a great tag over by Tobias. Potentially a little bit of obstruction there, but wow, talk about a momentum shift for the Gophers, exactly what they needed defensively to start this game.
Well, she'll try to lay one down anyway, and it'll work to a 2-1 count.
A little bit about Sid Schwartz, just the scouting report on her. So she's going to be living in the 62, 64 mile per hour when she's throwing something hard. When she's looking at her off-speed rise, that's going to be dropping down to 52, 55. She loves to throw that. She has a drop ball as another strike comes through. Really her go-to. She mixes speed so well, and that's why she has been so dominant as this ace.
Well, a 2-strike chance here for Sid Schwartz. And a good-looking pitch, but won't get the call. Yesterday, definitely a bit of a smaller strike zone, which, of course, with Autumn Fees on the call, getting a pitcher perspective, which may be a bit biased towards the pitchers, but still. The full count, swung on and missed. 2 up, 2 down, not the most conventional way, but any way to get him out, and now the Gophers looking good.
And Sid Schwartz, that off-speed rise, once again, barrel missing under it. It's really kind of middle, but Sinicki early on that pitch, and Sid Schwartz getting the out.
And so it'll be a 1-0 count to Riley McCoy hitting in that 3 spot. Gophers did, again, get out of the first 2 innings scoreless in last night's game. Swung on over to short, the play to first, And 3 up, 3 down for the Gophers. Good start for Sid Schwartz. Leading off for Minnesota, it's Margaret Tobias. Tobias went 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts last night, looking to change that momentum up here. And in the circle, it's Elise Sokolski.
And Sokolski's going to throw a heavy ball, so she throws her changeup in any count. It's super effective. The Yukon transfer, she's going to throw drop balls that are really going to fall off the table, and she can mix in her rise as well.
Well, there's ball 1 up high. You see, if you watched our broadcast last night, Autumn was talking about pitchers starting at that very back of the rubber of the pitching plate. Something that the whole Oregon staff, or much of the Oregon staff, does, as Tobias will foul off strike 2. The Minnesota batting order: Tobias, Kraft, Valencia, Snippas, Burnett, Easton, Cosgriff, Chavez, and Schwartz. The only 2 hits yesterday coming from Breezy Burnett and Jay Cosgriff after Tinley Easton got robbed out in center by a outstanding catch from Kedri Lushar. There is ball 2 outside. Two count to the leadoff in Tobias. Fouled back, working through the Oregon defense. It's Sokolski in the circle. Rosa behind the dish, working first to third. Riley McCoy, Kaylin Jones, Paige Snicki, Katie Flannery, and then left to right, it's Kai Lushar, her sister Kedri Lushar, and Des Patman over in right. Gophers certainly saw a lot of pitches yesterday, even when they were going out quickly. Lots of full counts, lots of foul balls off. As that'll get her on to first base, and so Gophers have an early base runner.
Yeah, great start, especially for Tobias, like you said, coming off a 3 strikeout day. Just getting up on the Evo shield there. Hey, that's what they're built for, right? Perfect place to get hit.
There have been 2 Gopher batters getting hit this series. The first one was just barely off the edge of the toe, and so certainly not the most painful places to get hit. It's Taylor Kraft. She got on board, was the first base runner of the game last night, and then she was out via fielder's choice over at third. Brought Valencia over to second. Valencia, who also walked before the side was retired without any damage. Kraft working with a 1-0 count, and Tobias on first will swing and pop this one up over by the dugout, and making the catch is over at first Riley McCoy.
And Sokolski coming up and in, it looked like, on Kraft on that pitch, producing the foul ball out. Just a really great pitch. Kraft so good at those up pitches. Just jams her there.
Valencia in the 3 spot. Valencia hitting .359 on the year. The runner goes, the throw is passed over at short, and so safely in at second is Tobias. Would have been iffy whether or not it would have caught up to her if it were on target, but either way, runner in scoring position.
If you would have told me that Oregon would have had their leadoff hitter thrown out in the first inning and Minnesota would have their leadoff hitter steal safely, I'd say you're crazy. Lushar, 42 out of 47 now. Tobias, only her 3rd attempt, now 2 for 3. Credit that to Coach Roy St. Clair now over at third base, calling the offense. Previously, we've seen Coach Piper Ritter out there, but making the switch, having the offensive-minded coach over at third base, changing their identity a little bit already on offense.
Well, the starting 9 for the Gophers today, as there's a ground ball to short, played over to first, and no runner advancing, so 2 outs now. The starting 9, a combined 2 stolen bases on 4 attempts entering the day. And you saw how it worked out, taking away the double play threat that play might have caused.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely would have been a double play. That ball was hit hard over at short for Sinicki. They definitely would have been able to turn 2 in that situation, so a big steal.
Jessa Snippas batting cleanup. Snippas hitting .250 on the year. She's played in 23 games, started just 13 of those. Across 48 at-bats, the second least of anybody in the lineup, the least coming of 47 with Schwartz, as there's the third out of the inning. So Gophers get an early base runner, can't do anything with it, and it'll be the 5-6-7, or rather 4-5-6 of the Oregon Ducks when we return for the top of the second here on Big Ten Plus.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Cram in all of the different promotion days. So yesterday, it was Strikeout Cancer Night as well as Student Night. Today, Pride Day, as well as we said, many high school teams from the area. Tomorrow, it'll be Bark in the Park. First 100 fans receive a Goldie Dog bandana as a drive, and almost a catch made from Breezy Burnett, laying out. Instead, rounding for third, safe in with a triple, is Kaylin Jones.
And just a great effort over there by Breezy Burnett. Really nothing else she could do on that. Gophers outfield was playing in there, but we'll see the replay here. You see she's shaded to the left. Got a really good jump on it, and it touched her glove too, so almost a fantastic catch, but instead a triple here for Jones.
Well, Burnett, she's seen some offensive struggles this year, but she has just been fantastic out in center field and has for some time now been the highlight of the Gopher defense. So nearly a great play there made, but now the Gophers have to work out of a leadoff triple. Lushar back to the top of the order, definitely a bunt threat.
It's just tough for a defense in this situation. It's just potentially a squeeze here, maybe coming, but it's so hard to defend Kai Lushar and her speed.
Well, 3-0 count. And at this point, not a whole lot you can do, because it's both the bat you want to watch out for and just having her on first is so dangerous. Well, there you go. So runners on the corners, speed at first. We'll see how aggressive they play this. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if she took second on the first pitch.
Yeah, and you know, the Gophers this season, it just seems like every time that we're watching a game or calling a game, when they're in a first and third, they just fake it to second, stare over at third instead of running any kind of play. There is no reason for them to throw to second base, I think, in this situation.
There she goes, and the fake to second. And so, just like that, 2 runners in scoring position for the Ducks, still no outs, as Paige Sinicki comes back up to the plate.
Personally, I don't understand that. That's a scout from someone that watches the games on TV, as that ball's fouled off, but you'd like to see some sort of play put on, try to create something, create an out, especially with the speed of this Oregon group.
Kraft certainly a catcher that has the arm for it. It'll be a 1-2 count. Strikeout would be much needed here. Infield playing decently in. We'll see if up the middle they decide to go home. Ground ball to third. Chavez looking her back. The throw in time for the out, and over there stealing second. Really strong heads-up base running.
And that's all completely planned. So runner on third in that situation is looking for downward angle. They're in a ground ball go situation. You're going to go automatically, and then it's just completely replacing. So naturally, if Chavez, if she doesn't go over at third base, she's just going to throw to first. It'll be a second and third situation, but instead, they're trying to make a play happen, and then Sinicki gets all the way to second. So just a full replacement, really well executed by the Gophers, but ultimately the same result if the Gophers would have thrown to first base.
And the Gophers certainly didn't look all that ready for it. May not be that much of a difference, corners, as probably would have let that steal go on anyway.
Correct.
With how fast this Oregon team is.
Most definitely would not have made a difference from if history would repeat itself, which would have been a fake over to second and nothing happening.
And so Riley McCoy working with a 1-1 count, 1 out now. It would be a huge boost for the Gophers if they can work into this trouble and work out of it.
Especially with these next 2 hitters up to bat, absolute power threats.
Well, off the middle of the bat and easily put away. Out a short by Tobias, so 2 outs, runners on second and third, and those last 2 at-bats couldn't have gone better than you wanted for Sid Schwartz.
And Sid Schwartz just getting it, as we see the triple here, but Sid Schwartz just getting in on an up and in pitch there, jamming McCoy and getting that infield pop-up.
And so a fly ball over just past the reach of Kayla Chavez. It looks like they weren't quite ready for where the fence would be. Maybe didn't judge it quite right, but a tough play to make. And so it's 1 strike with 2 outs, runners on second and third.
And Tobias, I was impressed that she got all the way over there from shortstop.
It's the cleanup. Kedri Lushar, she'll swing it out to right. And barely having to move is Valencia. So what a job by the Gopher defense. Sid Schwartz getting 3 quick outs after leadoff second and third. Gophers still have yet to get a hit, as Chavez will pop that one right up in front of the plate. Rosa's there for 1 quick out.
And once again, we see the Gophers just attacking first pitch right away. They're making contact, just not solid contact. Not necessarily a strike on that pitch, it's an up pitch, but must be in the game plan as Sid Schwartz comes up to get her first at bat in nearly a month.
Schwartz will take for a strike. As you said, she has not been hitting lately. Her last at bat was back on March 16th. Her last hit was a home run against St. Thomas. A home run that, well, I was on the call for that game. You were in the stands at US Bank Stadium. It went, we think it went through the fence. There was a hole in the fence that it was very questionable whether it went over or went through, but given being at US Bank Stadium, we didn't have replay capacities there. And so it was called a home run. And you know what? It's some RBI. She'll take it, but definitely wants to get things going back on offense for her.
Yeah, if you ask Sid, that was 100% a home run.
And so she'll be working with a 1-2 count on the year. We were talking about this before the game. She's got 8 hits and 11 runs batted in. Ball up high. You see the pitch count, 23 pitches for 1 out here in the bottom of the third. The Gophers had worked to nearly 20 pitches in the bottom of the first last night. She'll swing that one foul in top of the booth that we're in right now and get another chance to work.
Yeah, like you said, Sam, this is probably one of the longer at-bats we've seen for the Gophers.
And strike 3 swinging on Sid Schwartz. It'll send the Gophers back up to the top of the order.
And Sokolsky really working up and down, not necessarily east and west, and just being really successful, mixing in that changeup, going up with the rise, down with the drop.
So Tobias steps back in. Ball one is outside. She was hit just on that right elbow in the first to get on board. Gophers still hitless. The Ducks have 3. She'll lay down a bunt, well placed, and misplayed behind the plate. She probably would have had it anyway. So a 2-out base runner for the Gophers.
And just a perfectly executed bunt there by Tobias. I love the decision to lay something down. And Tobias with her speed, Oregon just had no chance of getting her out there.
So the Gophers have another runner on first. Tobias' second time on this game. As Taylor Kraft once again will step up to the plate. Again, at Purdue, the announcers essentially call their shot. They said, you know, this is not the batter you want to see up with runners in scoring position. And the very next pitch, she hit one over the fence in left center. She'll take a swing to deep center field, and it hits the top of the fence. Taylor Kraft with a 2-run homer gets the Gophers their first 2 runs of the series and puts them on top.
And Taylor Kraft just consistent, always ready, always a threat. Like you said, Sam, you basically just called it again. She is so explosive, and this ball just left down the middle. She turns on it, you see it hit the top of the fence, gets a Minnesota roll, and the Gophers, their first runs in this Oregon series.
Well, I can't take too much credit for that, given that I also said it yesterday and she didn't homer, but Gopher fans, certainly a much easier job rooting for their team now than once it got to the 4th and 5th innings yesterday. Still a good Oregon crowd. Again, impressed with how well they travel, for sure. As a new addition to the conference, and this being their first meeting between these two teams at a non-neutral site. Play over there made behind third base from Katie Flannery. So that'll do it for the third, but Taylor Kraft, a 2-run homer, top of the fence, gets the Gophers on top 2-0.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
And she'll swing through that one. Schwartz again hasn't been a part of the offense for about a month. Had a really strong game, 3 RBIs with that home run against St. Thomas at US Bank Stadium. And now it's a 2-2 count.
Yeah, Sydney Schwartz has primarily been the pitcher, not getting many opportunities to hit recently, so getting a somewhat of a surprise start in the batting order today.
She'll work her way full. Again, this is against a pitcher that is one of the best in the country. Overall pitching staff that is first in ERA in the Big Ten, second in the country. And going up against their ace, and Sid Schwartz fouls another one back.
Yeah, Oregon, they're gonna go deep in the NCAA tournament for sure. They just have so much depth all around. A lot of their roster ends up playing in games too. They've been so impressive.
Schwartz hits one to center. It falls between second base and the center fielder, and she has herself her first hit in about a month.
Yeah, and you gotta love to see it with Sydney Schwartz, just being able to help yourself out as a pitcher and go down into a 3-2 count and just get your barrel out, jammed a little bit. Grind is throwing hard, but truly being able to help yourself out has to be the best feeling. Looks like she's gonna get a pinch runner here. Lucy Hooper coming in.
Well, Lucy Hooper, some speed over on first. Top of the Gopher lineup. Tobias, Kraft, and Valencia, a combined 2 for 5 today.
Oregon defense anticipating a bunt here. Wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Those corners super in.
The bunt does come, again, perfectly placed. She will be thrown out, but easily advancing to second is Hooper.
Yeah, just great small ball there by the Gophers. Tobias, so consistent with her bunt game. Gets the first pitch. Well executed by the Oregon defense to get that out.
Well, bunts, sacrifices in general, one of the fun plays where both teams can simultaneously do a perfect job and get their job done. And so Taylor Craft has the only 2 RBIs of the game, working with a runner on second. She'll take ball 1 way up. Again, yesterday, she went hitless.
They're gonna put her on, it looks like, with an intentional walk, to the Gopher fans' dismay. I do not blame them. I think this is the absolute right choice.
Well, certainly a good choice given how she's hit both today and in general this year, but you've got Valencia behind her, a batter who has shown much of her own power. So she'll take first, and with 1 out, Valencia will come up, and well, I gotta say, there's not much more that could sting than a home run after an intentional walk, so we'll see what Valencia can do here. She's had an incredibly powerful bat all year. That combo, they've flipped around who's batted first and second, but they've been next to each other in the order all year.
Yeah, definitely, and I think when we compare lineups with Oregon and Minnesota, those first 3 hitters are just so great for this Minnesota lineup, and then it just drops off severely, where Oregon, they just don't have a drop-off.
So a good chance right now for the Gophers to do damage. Corner's still in, not nearly as much as for that last bunt, as Valencia will take strike 1. Valencia hitting .359 on the year. She has played and started every game. She has 4 home runs, second to Kraft's 12, now 13. And she'll take to a 2-1 count. These 2 back-to-back in the order, neither players that you want to fall behind on. And so good job getting the count back even at 2-2. 1 out here, bottom 5. Gophers protecting that 2-0 lead that came from the bottom of the 3rd. She'll foul another one off.
That off speed there from Grind. Really good job by Valencia. She 100% saw it, being able to foul it straight back.
With 2-2 count, she'll foul another one off. And, you know, the Gophers weren't working quite as deep into at-bats earlier in the game. Now that Grind comes back in, it's looking a lot more like yesterday.
Yeah, and Valencia seeing a 57-mile-per-hour pitch and then a 68-mile-per-hour pitch. 2 foul balls, just getting a barrel on it.
She'll pop that one up in the infield, put away. And so now it is 2 outs, still runners in first and second for the cleanup Snippers. She's had her fair share of hits in big moments this year.
Just a great pitch by Grind there, especially on a 2-2 count, being able to throw up on Valencia and just jam her, get an infield pop-up. You can't ask for anything better after an intentional walk.
2 outs, runners on first and second, 2-run lead in the bottom of the 5th here for the Gophers. Snippers will ground to second. The play made by Jones over to first. And so Oregon escapes further Gopher damage. They've gotten a leadoff triple and runners on second and third the last 2 innings haven't been able to break through. Will they be able to do it in the 6th? We will find out when we return here on Big Ten Plus. As we see a pinch hitter in Ayanna Shaw, a sophomore batting lefty. A little surprised that we actually haven't seen as many substitutions up until this point in the game. She'll lay one down, perfectly placed. Kraft doesn't have a play on it. And so another leadoff base runner for the Ducks.
Yeah, you're truly not going to see a better bunt than that. That was, oh, they're going to call her out. Oh, she was out of the box. Oh my gosh, yeah.
We had one of those yesterday, pretty similar play. It was actually a foul over down the third baseline that one of the Oregon players stepped out of the box on.
I'm sorry, this is just gonna be a strike call. This is the new rule. Yeah, she was. That's a great call by the umpire. And a huge break for the Gophers.
And so a 1-1 count. Make it 2-1. Gophers certainly gotten a fair amount of practice today and working out of leadoff hits, but hoping to not have to do that again. Well, they will, and this will be at least 2. Rounding second, the throw in, she'll stay at second. Would have been a close play, so a stand-up leadoff double for Ayanna Shaw, pinch hitting.
Yeah, 2 hits and 1 at bat. It's now the Gophers are like, maybe we would have taken that bunt base hit, but Shaw then swinging away, and that's just way too middle by Sid Schwartz. That's right down the middle. But Shaw coming in and her opportunity.
And so it's Des Patman stepping up to the plate.
And Patman does bunt.
She lays one down, another well-placed. Schwartz will take it over to first and dropped over there at first by Cameron Chard. A good job racing over to second from Chavez to prevent her from advancing.
It looked like Easton covering one on the bunt there, just drops it. And I mean, something we haven't seen today from the Gophers, but something we have absolutely seen all year long. Just mental mistakes, playing catch.
And so certainly the tone that this could be a pivotal moment. Gophers hoping to, through this timeout, just reset things and have the same success as they did earlier. It's the first error of the game for the Gophers. And once again, first and third.
And this is a situation I feel like I would love to see Taylor Kraft just throw it down to second base on this steal versus the fake and giving them second base.
Well, she won't get the chance. A drive to center. It'll bounce off. 1 run will score. And a sliding double that would have been a stand-up either way. It's a first run of the game for Oregon. And back where we were, second and third, no outs, but Oregon has a run on the board.
And this is what we've seen is those plays that just right after an error, just a squared up double and kind of just history repeating itself for Gopher softball. And now runners in scoring position, like you said, no outs for Oregon and a bit of a rally going back to back to back runners on.
Well, grounder right back to Schwartz. She'll look back to third, make the play at first. And again, the Gophers defense has looked majority very strong with runners on third.
Absolutely, and I said it before, Sydney Schwartz just such a strong fielder as a pitcher, still checking third, maybe almost had a play at third to get a tag, but ultimately agree with this play. You got to get an out. After the error, the hits, you got to get an out in that situation.
Kaylin Jones, of course, coming in as hot as any Duck batter right now. This is the last batter of the third time through the order. And so the crowd not as happy with that ball 2 call. You can also feel the tone in Schwartz working from behind more this inning. And make it a 3-0 count. Jones entering the day with 6 extra base hits, all doubles. She'll want to go to first, but work into a 3-1 count. Of course, top of the order coming up next, and so this would be a huge out for Sid Schwartz to get. And just misses that spot. Bases loaded, 1 out. The lead cut down to 1 with the top of a very powerful order.
I know the Gopher fans are upset about these calls, but these are outside. They're off the river. Schwartz is close, but these aren't touching the white of the plate at all.
Top third today, a combined 2 of 8 for Oregon. Those hits coming from Lushar and Snicky. We'll see how aggressive Oregon wants to be here.
Yeah, a lot of balls from Sid these past couple of batters.
Definitely struggling to find the zone after a very strong start.
My guess is the conversation with the infield is probably go home to 3, knowing how fast Lushar is here.
With a 2-1 count, we'll see. I mean, Lushar definitely can reach on the bunt. The question is whether they can catch Patman at home. She'll slap one through the right half of the infield. 1 run will score. They will hold over at third leg, and so a tie ball game, bases loaded, with just 1 out in the top of the 6th.
Just a really strong piece of hitting by Lushar. She's so consistent, has been all year long. Getting the RBI here, just taking really an outside pitch and pulling it. And with the Gophers outfield playing so far in, being able to hold that runner at third as well.
You can see there she wanted to go, but probably making the right decision. So it going down as an unearned run, the only earned run being that first one for Sid Schwartz. Bases loaded, still 1 out. Snicky, the 2 batter. Oh, and what a play from Tobias. Makes the catch, gets the tag over at second, and the Gophers get out of it still tied.
That ball couldn't have been more perfectly placed for Tobias to get the double play there. We just saw multiple momentum shifts. Now Gophers going in for the offense.
A back and forth game, but back where we started, tied up going into the bottom of the 6th. It's an exciting one here on Big Ten Plus. It's still Lindsey Grine in the circle, so no easy task as Breezy Burnett will lead off the bottom of the 6th. She'll take strike 1. At this point, certainly wouldn't be surprised to see them play some small ball given how hard it's been to score on Grine all year.
Yeah, I mean, they have 0 runs scored off of Grine and looking to make something happen here with Burnett.
She'll get a ground ball over through short, reach first safely. Her speed might have been a single either way, but a leadoff base runner for the Gophers.
And just a great job by Burnett, really squaring this ball up. play over by Sinicki would have been a tough one. Took a tough hop for her, too. But big time lead-off hitter for the Gophers to have the speedy Burnett over at first base. You got to anticipate a bunt's coming here.
Tinley Easton did have the best hit ball of last night, at least by the Gophers, with that great play made out in center by Luchar. She does bunt. It's popped up, the play made, but it took enough effort that Burnett was able to get back to first.
And just not what you want to see if you're a Gopher softball fan. Great play over there by McCoy, but everyone knows that Easton's bunting. The only thing she has to do is get it at a downward angle and just pops this up. You can see her drop her barrel. Really great play by McCoy there.
Good job as well by Burnett getting back safely to first. Cosgriff. She'll bat one 4-6-3, but she's safe. The foot off the bag. We'll see if they want to take a look at that one. But for now, Cosgriff, a 2-out base runner for the Gophers.
Yeah, really a great play. I didn't get a good look if her foot was off the bag. See a bit of a replay here. Yeah, that's a great call.
Brooke Jones coming in to pinch hit here. The Gophers right now today are hitting 300 overall and 375 with 2 outs.
That's impressive. It's higher than their normal batting averages and just as a team presently.
So Brooke Jones with 2 outs. Cosgriff on first. She's taking the place of Chavez. A Scherzer-esque grunt on that first pitch as it's strike one. Ball in the dirt, but unable to advance is Cosgriff, so still not quite in scoring position as we've got a 1-1 count to Jones. She'll take to a 2-1 count.
Just a tough spot for a pinch hitter. Grine is just so good to come in this situation with the runner on, 2 outs. Tall task.
She'll swing through strike 2. She's got 3 walks on the year, has yet to get a hit. And over to second, the play to first. And we'll go to a 7th inning, still tied at 2-2. One of just 2 freshmen in the lineup right now. They started 3 though. And not the way you want to start off that at bat. It'll send up Kadri Luchar to the plate.
Just like you said, not the start you want, especially an 0-for-3 hitter. Looks like we'll get a pinch runner potentially.
And so heading out to first base, it's Presley Lawton. Lawton will add some speed over to first, with Kadri Luchar up to the plate. Gophers have struggled at the beginning of the last 3 innings, so an out here would be much needed. Of course, they only got out of the last one with that very lucky, although still very good play from Tobias.
Right, super squared up ball too.
And had a chance at another lucky one there as it's hammered down the line. This might score one. They'll hold her up at third. Good job getting to it quickly out there from Valencia, but it's a double now, second and third, no outs once again. The Ducks have been unrelenting, even though for 2 innings they got this situation and couldn't score.
And you can just see they're on time. They're squaring up more balls. I mean, however many times around now, 4th time around hitting off Sydney Schwartz. This kind of offense is going to catch up to you at some point. It's just a matter of time. And Lushar, one of the strongest hitters in the country, making it hurt.
And if Cam Chart over there isn't playing the bunt, maybe that's a double play. And so you see the speed there that works beyond just stolen bases. Just the threat of it has hurt the Gophers a lot this game. Second and third, 2-0 count. It's Flannery, Patman, leg, although we'll see if they keep leg in or if they substitute her back out as she came in as a pinch runner. Flannery 1 for 2 on the day, single and a strikeout. She reached second base as now a 2-1 count. Ritter certainly showing her confidence in Schwartz. Well, we've seen that exact play happen several times this year. Questionable whether the pitcher should just take it herself home or pass it off. And so a run scored on the squeeze puts the Ducks ahead, 1st and 3rd. Still no outs in the top of the 7th.
And it's just something that should have been anticipated. You see third base coach over there for Oregon giving signs, and the one time she gives signs is a squeeze, and the corner's just not ready for that, and just not a great toss from Chard down to Taylor Craft, and just really great execution by this Oregon offense. I mean, I would just keep doing it at this point. Why not?
Well, it's not a team that has had to get all that creative with scoring this year. After all, they only have 4 losses, and just what an offensively gifted team, but it's good to see that they can do that in need, and so it puts them on top 3-2. Still runners on the corners. They will look to bunt. The throw cut off. They'll look back to third, an error, and it'll be another run safe at third, and the Gopher defense falling apart. 4-2, runner on third, still no outs.
And maybe one of the first times the Gophers have had a play on, and of course, just another mistake, and it's really not a bad throw over by Easton. They had a second base cut. She throws over third base, and Chavez, who's really been inconsistent all day in the box and just doesn't play catch again.
Well, the Gophers' errors both coming on just normal throws not being caught. Really just 2 plays where they've made really bad mistakes. Yesterday it was a bit more opened up, but still, once that 4th and 5th inning came, they just struggled a lot. So certainly not out of the game, but runner on third, no outs, top of the 7th. Swung on and missed to a 2-2 count.
And if you're a Gopher softball fan, this is just what this season has been. Sid Schwartz has been so great in the circle today, and just mental mistakes.
Well, there's strike 3. Sid Schwartz still, again, having a really good day. Just hasn't quite had these last 2 innings break her way.
Looks like we'll get another substitution here from the Oregon Ducks.
Well, Emma Cox is up at the plate.
We'll see that pitch again. Just another off speed there by Sydney Schwartz, and a great response. I mean, it gets chaotic out there with some of these errors, and being able to come back and get that strike 3 was big.
She'll foul off strike 1. When the Gophers get back up to bat, it'll be 9-1-2. As it stands, that's Schwartz, Tobias, Kraft. Can't imagine there would be any substitutions in there, but there's always a possibility just to shake things up. 1 out, runner on third. Ball 1. Emma Cox, certainly a player that can do damage. She'll foul that one off, and so 2 strikes. Schwartz already has 1 strikeout this inning. Now would be a good time for another.
Especially with how the defense is playing presently.
And flown up high to left. They'll get the out, but easily tagging in safely will put the Ducks up 5-2. So 3-run lead, bases empty for the first time in a while, 2 outs.
And something we saw in yesterday's game is just like not being able to stop the bleeding for this Gopher softball team, having those big innings, and all of them really starting with an error and putting themselves into this position. It's just been a consistent reality for the Gophers all season long.
So Flannery scores the 5th run as we get an 0-1 count here to Brazy Rosa. Schwartz delivers to an 0-2 count. And this is certainly where you start to regret some of those chances that they could have added some padding. Again, 9-1-2 for the Gophers if they can get past Rosa. The 1-2. Grounded to short, Tobias. Over to first, makes the play. Gophers have their work cut out for them. At one point, it was 2 for 6 and 0 for 7. Schwartz will take ball 1. No surprise to see Lindsey Grind still in the circle. Nobody else that the Ducks would want out there in this situation. She's been one of the best pitchers in the nation all year long. Good check swing. And so Schwartz is ahead 2-0 for her 2nd straight at bat. The 2-0 finds the zone. Schwartz working with a 2-1 count.
Grind has been really consistent coming in. It was such a smart choice by Lombardi to put her in, knowing and trusting her offense could get a lead.
Good take from Schwartz, 3-1. Well, very different story from yesterday. Oregon struck first with a solo shot in the 3rd. Got a combined 12 runs over the 4th and 5th. This time around, Gophers up 2-0 after 5. And then the Ducks score 5 over the 6th and 7th innings. Schwartz, again, working to a full count. Did a good job working the count deep last at bat, getting that single that you saw just a few moments ago to right center. And another one back up into the netting.
And not to say that this game is over by any means, but coming off of what you just said, there might be some moral victories in this. I mean, coming off a 13-0 game to number 4 Oregon, one of the best in the country. Sid Schwartz with a strong bat right now. But coming back and putting up a fight, it's hard. When you're down bad like the Gophers have been for quite some time, it is so tough to dig yourself out of that. And when you have to face teams like this, it can become demoralizing.
Well, another fouled off. Is there space to make the catch? No, that falls between the dugout and the batting cages. So what a great at-bat here from Schwartz.
Yeah, and even these situations where they're reintroducing Sydney Schwartz into the lineup, having strong at-bats. She was someone last year that I know there was a ton of hope around. She was battling some injuries. She is a great dual threat.
Another full count. And she'll take the walk. Just an outstanding performance at the plate. Another lead runner on and another Schwartz on for the Gophers.
Yeah, really great at bat. I thought that might have been strike 3. Oh, never mind. That was super in. Yeah, great at bat. So Schwartz, I mean, helping herself out again, bringing up Tobias, rolling the lineup over. I mean, Tobias gets on, then you have Kraft. It's a 3-run deficit.
Tobias taking ball 1. Gopher dugout you saw there staying in high spirits. I think right now both teams can be in different ways proud of the game. The Ducks haven't faced nearly as much adversity this year, and they came back strong, stayed through it. And the Gophers, like you said, staying strong, especially after, you know, tying their worst loss in over a decade.
It's hard to win. It is hard to win ball games.
Fouled off. A 1-2 count to the leadoff hitter. Again, Kraft Valencia on deck. If she gets on, certainly looking like it could be a cinematic finish. Ground ball to third. They'll get the lead runner. And so just one runner on, one out in the bottom of the 7th, 3-run deficit. But the Gophers' best 2 hitters up now.
And ultimately just like a very big out there, especially with Taylor Kraft coming on. Intentionally walked her last at bat. Obviously has the only home run and RBIs of the game, but gives Grind an opportunity now. She can mix some different pitches in. She doesn't necessarily have to walk her. They're in a good spot.
She'll take ball 1. Valencia, of course, behind her is the tying run. Or could be the tying run. Kraft swings it hard foul. 1-1 count.
Talk about someone that Gopher softball is going to severely miss next season. Taylor Kraft was such a great addition, the transfer from Duke. Just steady as it gets as a hitter and so strong behind the plate.
The 1-1, fouled off herself. A 1-2 count to Kraft. Two of the best going up against each other in the Big Ten. Kraft will take to a 2-2 count. And certainly something that, whatever your feelings on conference expansion are, you get to see matchups like this, which two of the best in the game right now on offense and pitching right now. Kraft will foul that one off. Same spot as a couple innings ago. And I'm guessing that's Valencia's dad based on the jersey. Made an over-the-shoulder catch. It was coming in from behind him wearing a big M chain. One of the best plays I think we've seen today. We've seen some good plays this weekend, but that's got to be one of the best. And so Kraft will get another 2-2 chance.
I'm impressed Kraft was able to get a barrel on that. Rise ball high and in on a 2-2 count.
The 2-2. Taken low, full count. 1 out, so certainly can't leave early from first, but Gophers' hopes very much alive. And it's high for ball 4. Tobias will hold up at second, even though it was a lost ball behind the plate. And so Nani Valencia, the 3 spot coming up for the Gophers. She's got 4 home runs on the year. Her last one was March 1st against Miami, Ohio. She also had one the prior game against Wagner. Those two, same weekend we called at US Bank Stadium.
Yeah, and Valencia, along with the rest of this Gophers offense, they all have home runs under their belt. So one swing could very much change everything as we see Breezy Burnett rally cap.
Well, she went 3 for 4 with a run batted in at Purdue, as we'll see at least a timeout and potentially a pitching change. I doubt they'd pull the race in this scenario, but see how she's feeling.
I know we've done a lot of comparisons of Minnesota and Oregon. Another comparison is Oregon calls a ton of timeouts in comparison to Minnesota. And credit to them, I mean, they feel and seem so connected as a group, and that's Melissa Lombardi and that championship pedigree that she's built with Oregon. I know when I played Oregon in 2014, Mike White was running the program. He's now at Texas, but Lombardi took over and really created, I've said identity multiple times, but a new identity for this Oregon program, and really catapulted them into greatness, getting them into this 4 ranking. They have been so dominant in every facet of the game.
Well, got a pinch runner, Riley Gardner, taking that spot over at first base. At this point, just trying to avoid the double play because the tying run at home plate. Ball 1 misses to Valencia. Talked about anybody on this team able to hit homers. I looked through top to bottom on my sheet, the Oregon lineup, and saw, wow, there are only 2 players without homers. And then the Gopher lineup, there's only 1. And so it's definitely a team that can have production. As at least double to left center, Valencia rounds first, pulls up to second, 1 run scores. They'll hold over at third, Riley Gardner. But 1 out, second and third. A double for Valencia keeps the Gophers' hopes alive.
And Valencia, that's the first squared up ball really we've seen since Taylor Craft's home run, and just hitting the gap there off grind. And now the Gophers offense just working. Winning run, the tying run over at second base now. Looks like we're gonna get a pitching change. So they're gonna take out Grind. I'm guessing they're gonna put in Chambers or Sokolsky again. Looks like it might be Sokolsky again.
So a pitching change
It is
for the
Sokolsky.
Ducks. Sokolsky comes back in.
Sokolsky really was consistent. She left 1 pitch middle on Taylor Craft.
The drive foul, and you can feel just the energy throughout Jane Sage right now. Everybody on the edge of their seats.
It's just uncharted territory here for the Gophers, where you just are in a situation to beat a high-ranked team. And Sokolsky, her last batter was Justice Snippes. She threw 3 changeups in a row, and she was able to get a hit before taken out.
Another similar foul off, down to 2 strikes now. Of course, still 1 out. Behind Snippes is Breezy Burnett. Runners on second and third. A single where she hit it last time would probably only score 1. But just hoping to get the bat on the ball in fair territory. She'll take the ball low.
And Sokolsky, what we saw earlier, she threw a good amount of rise balls, good drop balls, and then the changeup. I wouldn't be surprised if she still mixes it in, even with Snippes getting a hit off it earlier. Maybe throw something a little bit in the dirt. Just changing speeds here.
The 1-2. Fouled off. And this is about as alive as both crowds have been all weekend.
It's definitely a different vibe than the 13-0 game, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. The Ducks fans were excited, but they weren't stressed. It wasn't a questionable game after that second and third run came in. Another 1-2. And that'll do it. A strikeout looking brings the Gophers to their last out in Breezy Burnett.
And Sokolsky just going back to that changeup, and you had to see it coming. It was a matter of time and just down the middle in reality. Beautiful pitch. Snip is a great at bat, but just ultimately staying on time for that hard pitch and not able to adjust the slow. But Sokolsky coming in and getting a huge out for the Ducks.
Breezy Burnett had that first hit for the Gophers. She gets a single to left, but they'll hold over at third. And so an RBI single for Breezy Burnett keeps the game going, keeps the Gophers' hope alive. It's 5-4 Ducks as Tinley Easton steps up to the plate.
And Breezy Burnett just taking the first pitch she sees. This is her second hit of the game. I mean, she came in batting 200. So being able to hit off this pitching staff that has been so strong and give the Gophers an opportunity with 2 outs to tie this game up. Tinley Easton, the freshman, she was able to square some balls up yesterday, looking for an opportunity to tie this game with a runner over there at third. I'd be curious to see what the Gophers do in a first and third. I doubt they'll send Breezy, but certainly an interesting situation here.
Fouled off. Certainly the middle infield not playing all that close to the bag. With Breezy's speed, she may be able to take it, but unlikely to be worth the risk. Unless they can get a similar error as the Gophers had back.
I'd be curious with 2 strikes if that is a situation they're willing. Coach Roy over there is willing to chance.
Swung on over to second. The play made to first, and Oregon hangs on. The Gophers get 2 back down to their last out, but can't quite finish the job. They fall 5-4. One of the best outings still, I would say, of the year for the Gophers.